Lance Olson has moved on to the corporate world. We're looking for the next great Utah sports radio talent.
There's something for everyone.
While we do that, you get stuck with this guy.
Hey, everybody, here's our star.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hands and Scotty. No. Hey, that's one for the jar. Sorry about that. Right out of the gate.
Put that over there now.
I know. I'm sorry. You know what? It's just, I honestly, if we're going to be truthful about this, I actually have been better than I thought I would be because I am very much a creature of habit and I get stuck in my ruts very easily. So the fact that I think that's maybe 3 in a week and a half, I actually feel pretty good about that.
Hey, so I do not make the mistake of doing this. I've completely ripped him from my life. Like I've unfollowed. I got rid of his. I don't have his phone number anymore. I have just cut it.
You're done.
I won't make that mistake.
He's dead to me.
Dead to me.
Oh man. Yeah. It's been a couple days. Usually, usually we go back and forth quite a bit, but it's been a couple days. I miss my guy for sure. I know you all do as well. As you heard the big voice guy, as we came in, look, we are going to find our guy, and we're going to make it happen. we got a lot of really fun stuff planned over the next week and a half. By the way, did the shipment go out, if you know what I mean?
Yes, it did.
Nice.
It did go out yesterday.
Okay.
Should be there. It'll be there by Monday for sure.
Okay, because he's good to go Thursday and Friday of next week. And then
it'll definitely be there before then.
Okay, so we do have, let's just say this, Kevin Graham is going to help us out with some shows. So I know it's been a minute, and you've heard KG a little bit on the morning show doing weekly hits, but Kevin Graham is going to co-host the show with me for a couple days. I also, and I will talk to you offline about this, get real corporate. We'll meet offline on this. There's another guy that I think I would like to get some equipment out to him, but I think we might try to airlink that guy. But I'll tell you about that during the break. And guess who joins us coming up tomorrow? Matt Wells joins us coming up tomorrow.
Play that.
Yes, you can.
Can I play that?
You absolutely can. Matt Wells will join us coming up tomorrow and fired up. He will join us on the show. So, again, you've heard from Tim Lacombe. You'll hear from Matt Wells. You'll hear from Kevin Graham. We've got some other people coming down the pipeline, and hopefully we can figure out what direction we're going to go here pretty soon. Like I said, I'm going to take my time, and I understand that you want the best show possible, and I'm doing everything I can to provide that for you. Look, Lloyd and I, we talk all morning long. I answer his calls. He answers my calls. And we just go back and forth on how we can produce the best quality radio show.
Communication is next level.
Next level.
Absolutely. Usually you answer on the first ring. It's like, wow. It's almost like you're doing nothing.
All right, we got to do a little house cleaning here. So you called me this morning, and I was getting some work done at the house. I had a guy over. We had some issues with some things, and so I was talking to him, and we were going through, we got to replace this, do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I texted you, and I said, I will call you back here in a few minutes when I'm available. And then I called you back.
At 11:40.
No, go check your phone. It wasn't 11:40.
It was close to 11:40. Can we agree it was probably the midpoint of the 11 o'clock hour?
All right, you called me at 10:08 a.m., all right? Now, it was over an hour, but I said
like an old couple right now.
I said it was 11:22. I was wrong. It was 11:23 that I called you.
So close to 11:30. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then you sent me right to voicemail, and then sent me that emoji with the middle finger, which I didn't really appreciate.
I was eating my enchiladas, and so sorry.
Can't get it.
You're not going to get in between me and my enchiladas.
Can't get in the way of those enchiladas.
No.
Well, it's better that than cup of noodles in the middle of the show. So
yes.
We're making progress. So yeah, and then I got and then I got reprimanded by Lloyd when I came in. Answer my call. I'm like, well,
our communication is going to have to, if we're going to survive this relationship together,
it takes
the
two to
communication is going to have to increase.
That is true.
Nothing happened. Nothing. No news to talk about today at all.
No,
I don't even know what
nothing.
the heck we're going to do today.
Nothing at all. In fact, enough of us yammering. Let's get to it. Starting lineup, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, brought to you by our good friends at Mountain Land Supply. And I want to shout out Tim and the crew at Mountain Land Supply. They have been so good to this station, so good to the show, and we cannot thank them enough. Honestly, Tim and the crew, you know the drill. If water runs through it, they're going to help you out, whether it's indoor plumbing, outdoor irrigation, HVAC, and there's so many other aspects to what they do at Mountain Land Supply. Go to mountainlandsupply.com and find the location near you. But please, we can't thank these guys enough. They've been great and good partners of ours and will continue to be so. So we appreciate everything they've done for us. All right. So where to begin? All right. So yesterday, I went on the air and I talked about how I couldn't quite figure out the hypocrisy of what was going on with your national talking heads out there that wanted to vilify the Utah Jazz in how they were tanking. Because one thing we've learned is that tanking's okay, but apparently there's unwritten rules of tanking. So there's tanking that is acceptable and tanking that is not acceptable. Like there's a code among thieves, if you will, among tankers. So you can tell the world in your injury report that so-and-so is hurt. You can make up whatever injury you want. You can come up with a hamstring, the flu, whatever the case is. You can
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Just come up with all kinds of weird things. Gastrointestinal distress. I mean, just the sky's the limit on what you can come up with. It doesn't matter. You don't have to prove it. You just have to put it on your injury report. That goes out to the media and the rest of the public. And so that is okay. You can do that. You can even shut down somebody for an entire season and say why. We'll get to that coming up here in just a minute. So that's all acceptable. That is the code among thieves, that if you are going to tank, there's a way to do it, and everybody's cool with it. Nobody blinks an eye because it's been going on for decade after decade after decade after decade. All right, cool. Well, what the Utah Jazz did, and you know this by now, but the Jazz said, hey, look, we just made this trade. We've got Larry Markkinen. We got Jaren Jackson Jr. We want to see how they work together on the court. Ultimately, wins and losses don't really matter to us that much. So what we're going to do is we will play them for the first 3 quarters of a game, and then the fourth quarter, once we see what we need to see, we'll shut them down. That is unacceptable. That was crossing the line. That is where you can no longer be a dignified member of the NBA. You are wrecking the credibility of the league if you do that. And so it's like, okay, so you can lie and just flat out make stuff up, and that's okay. But what you can't do is you can't, in no way, shape, or form, play your guys, say they're healthy, they're ready to go, and then just choose not to play them in the fourth quarter. That is where things go wrong. So you got Windhorse on ESPN. You got a bunch of people just losing their mind. Bobby Marks, Bobby's a capologist. I don't know why he's getting into the fray on this. That dude's a number dude. Stay in your lane, if you will. So everybody's losing their collective minds over this. So last night, I'm thinking, okay, what about this? Why is there such a high level of hypocrisy on this? Why would one thing be okay and the other not be okay? And not just not okay, but just the hammer of Thor from the national media has just clung on to the Utah Jazz about this. Well, a couple things. Number one, Jazz are an easy target. Okay, you're not going to say that about Greg Popovich. Nobody wants to get Greg mad at him back in the day. So nobody would have said that if Pop would have done it. Nobody says it if the Lakers would have done it. Nobody would have said it if the Knicks would have done it. There's certainly teams around the league, Boston probably one of them, that they can get away with certain things that teams like the Utah Jazz can't. It's, the old adage, you're going to punch downhill a little bit. So, all right, you're mad at one guy. Well, guess what? This other guy did it. We're going to go after him because we can't go after the other guy. All right, fine. That was my initial thought. But then you start thinking, okay, why is this situation in particular making everybody angry? Okay, so it's like that old movie, what's that old JFK movie? Was it called JFK with Kevin Costner in it?
Yep.
Okay. It's like that old movie where he sits next to the old guy and the guy says, follow the money. Follow the money. All right, so let's follow the money here. who has a vested interest in the NBA in terms of making sure it's profitable for them. All right? Somebody out there who is totally okay if you announce injuries beforehand, you give a day, 2 day, even the morning of notice, so you have hours in between letting everybody know that somebody's going to play and somebody's not going to play. And then, so who would be okay with that? And then who would not be okay with, in the course of a game, shutting down a player? So he plays 3 quarters and then you shut it down. And then who else would feel that way about both sides of those issues and also would have a lot of members of the national media in their back pocket? Well, could it be? Could it be some people that may like to offer up a wager here and there? Maybe somebody who likes to offer up a little online wagering, if you will. Because who would have the most to lose with the Utah Jazz messing with their lineups in the course of a game? It would be gamblers, right? Especially those that like their prop bets. Especially those that are hammering the fourth quarter or going, like a halftime score, individual scoring, things along those lines. It's your prop bettors that are certainly not going to be happy about this. And when you have gamblers upset, then you have big-time sponsors of the league at a national level that are getting a little upset. And then you get people who also are part of media businesses who accept a lot of money from DraftKings and FanDuel, and you can go down the line of everybody else out there. So when they say, hey, look, we don't like what's going on here, just let your people know that this is not okay. So all of a sudden, now you get this moral high horse of Brian Windhorse and Bobby Marks, Matt Moore, these guys that have a big following, and why all of a sudden have they sunk their teeth into it? Because you've got you ticked off the wrong people. You made the wrong people upset. And by that, you know what? Like, look, the Jazz, there's no cousin Sal who's going to take you behind the back street and club your kneecap. So what's their best alternative? Well, try to get the national public against you and try to make you look like the villain. Play the PR game. Now, look, this is me speculating. I'm totally 100% speculating. But again, follow the money. Who would be upset by this? Because tanking's been going on forever. This is just a different version of it. But this is a version that got a lot of people's feathers ruffled. Why would that be? When everything else has been fine. Oh, totally fine. Greg Popovich does his thing. Everybody rolls his eyes. Well, that's Pop being Pop. And then other people are like, well, you know what? Look, this is a historic draft coming up. So, you know what? There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to shut it down, and they're going to try to manipulate things so that they can have a top 3 or a top 5 pick coming up in the NBA draft. People don't understand how vital it is for the Utah Jazz to make sure they hold on to their pick this year. You could have a franchise-altering player if you're picking in the top 3, 4, maybe even 5 in this draft. That's how deep this draft is. That's how talented this draft is. Like, there is somebody that you can snag at the top of this lottery that will completely remake your organization, that has that potential. Everybody knows it. So why would some people out there be angry about how the Jazz are handling? First off, there's a certain element of jealousy. Maybe there's just a lot of jealousy with other teams out there saying, hey, we're trying to do the same thing. We like, what you're doing is actually a little smarter than what we've been doing, and doggone it, we're a little upset we didn't think of that first. But ultimately, you just ticked off the wrong people. So if I'm the Utah Jazz, I'm like, fine, all right. You got the rules out there? We'll play by your stupid rules. And the Jazz announced today that Jaren Jackson Jr. will have surgery on his knee, and nothing in terms of ACLs or MCLs or meniscuses or anything like that. There was a growth inside of his knee. They didn't like it. So preemptively, they're going to have surgery, take it out, and shut him down for the year. Could he have played through it? I don't know. Probably. He looked great in the last few games for the Utah Jazz. And I'm not here at all saying that the Utah Jazz are intentionally making a decision to shut him down. What I'm saying is, like, all right, you know what? We could hold off on this in a normal year, but if you're going to be babies about what we're doing, fine, we'll shut him down.
Something he could have had done maybe in the offseason.
Maybe we could have done it in the offseason. But if you guys are going to act like this and make us look like the bad guys, then fine. We'll play by your stupid rules. You want us to do that? Fine. Jaren Jackson's out for the year. And you know what? All of a sudden, I would come up with if it was me and I was Austin Ainge, or I was Danny Ainge, or I was Ryan Smith, I'd be like, hey, Laurie, guess what? Your back's not feeling well. He's like, no, my back's feeling pretty good. No, it's not feeling good. And you got my private jet. I'm going to take you to, pick an island in the Bahamas that you want to go to, and it's yours. And just stay there. We'll see you back here when the off season begins. There's a gym there. Get your workouts in and stuff like that. But take your family down, enjoy your time, and we'll see you back here. Coming up in late spring. Yeah, because look, if this is what you want, if the NBA is so upset and the national media is so upset because the Jazz are actually playing their guys and using selective playing time in terms of shutting it down in the fourth quarter, but showing fans who paid good money to go to those games. All right? Look, NBA tickets are not cheap. And do I think the product's worth it? Absolutely. I think the Jazz do a phenomenal job, better than most teams in the league on their game presentation. You walk into a Jazz game and you are immediately inundated with all kinds of cool things, cool opportunities around the game itself. It's not just about the game, it's about the experience. Ryan Smith and his crew have upped it up 100 times. And so props to them for what they've been able to accomplish and what they've built. So you go to a Jazz game, you're going to be entertained. But you also spent money on a ticket. You want to see your guys. You want to see Larry Markkinen. You want to see Jaren Jackson Jr. How great was it if you were at that Jazz game last night and you got to see an integral part of the building blocks of the future of the Utah Jazz up close and in person doing his thing when the Jazz just completely obliterated their opponent? You'd be like, that was great. Well, guess what? You can't have it anymore because everybody got upset. Because Brian Windhorst threw a fit and everybody else is complaining. So it's like, fine. Jaren Jackson, guess what? You're done. You're done. We're going to take our star player and go home. Now, again, I'm speculating on a lot of this. I don't think that was a vocal decision in the, over the Zions Bank basketball campus. I don't think that's actually how it went down. But you know what? If it were me, I'd do it. I'd 1,000% do it. I'd say, look, okay, fine. You want us to play by your dopey rules and your code of conduct amongst the thieves that are all trying to tank for a top 3 pick. Okay, fine. Jaren Jackson, you're done. Go get that knee taken care of. We'll see you back here in late spring. Laurie. Now, they haven't announced anything on Laurie, but I'd do it right now. I'd just be like, okay, fine. Give that proverbial middle finger to the league and say, this is what you want. This is what's acceptable behavior. Then we'll do it. Well, fine. It's all good. The Jazz have tried to do things the right way. They really have. They've tried to, knowing that especially this year. Last year, last year the Jazz really bottomed out. And it was a point of emphasis to really run that thing into the ground. This year, they've been competitive. They've really tried to take a different approach. Are they still losing games at a high level? Sure. Are they near, 19, 20 games under 500? Absolutely. If anything, they're doing too good of a job being competitive. And for all those people that were upset at what the Jazz did, hey, they've won 2 out of 3. All right, so if you're cranky about what's going on, I don't know why, because guess what? The Jazz won. They lost that first game in Orlando. Then they went on the road, got a win to close out the road trip, and then they got a win last night. So it's not like it's working, and it's not like the product is down. If anything, the product's better. But yet, nope. We're really messing around with the integrity of the game. Get out of here. It's ridiculous. All right, this is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Joining us now, good friend of the program. He covers BYU at KSLSports.com. Cougar Insider Mitch Harper, kind enough to join us. Mitch, how are you?
Doing good, Scotty. Happy to be on with you.
Well, you know what? I always love chatting with you because you're one of the best in the business, if not the best, especially when it comes to covering BYU. I do wish we were speaking under better circumstances, though, because these stories, I mean, look, you like to talk sports. We never really like when we have to talk news as being part of the sports world. But Parker Kingston, with the announcement yesterday, is and this BYU football team dealing with some stuff, kind of reset the scene and what you've learned lately.
Yeah, it's jarring stuff, Scotty, to say the least, and it's a bombshell for this for Parker Kingston and this BYU football program and the alleged victim here. Back in February 2025, Parker Kingston was alleged to have committed first-degree felony rape. He's been charged. He's booked. He's currently in jail. Court documents were unsealed today, and the alleged victim noted on February 27, 2025, she's 20 years old. She contacted officers in St. George at St. George Regional Hospital, reporting a sexual assault. On June 3rd, 2025, she was interviewed with Washington County Attorney's Office. And what's also interesting today is that it was noted in the unsealed documents is that Parker Kingston was interviewed. No date given in terms of when he was interviewed, but he was arrested yesterday. He's currently in jail. He's expected to go to court tomorrow. But again, first-degree felony rape. These are serious allegations. And, the last thing I think people think of in these sort of situations is football.
Yeah.
But it's intense stuff for Parker Kingston, the alleged victim involved here.
So this alleged incident took place last February. It's a year later. Was that just the process of gathering information and gathering evidence? Is why this has been a year apart?
That would be the expectation as far as, gathering the evidence here. It's been noted that based on the information that they gathered, they felt it was necessary to issue a warrant and, have the defendant, Parker Kingston, in this case, be faced with charges in this situation. So clearly taking their time, gathering that evidence and that information to press those charges. And he's currently in jail without bail right now.
Do you think that and BYU gave the correct response as you would expect? They're aware of the situation. They'll let the process go. However, their involvement in terms of discipline, that's going to be certainly a private issue. But do you think that there was any kind of knowledge whatsoever that Parker was dealing with something like this?
That's the big question here with the timeline spanning over a year and with the tidbit about him having an interview with authorities. Again, there was no date given on that. It makes you wonder if there was, in fact, knowledge of this. And, Parker Kingston, of course, was BYU's leading receiver this past season and, a top special teams guy as well in terms of the punt return game. The knowledge, really the only thing that BYU noted in their statement was that they became aware of the arrest yesterday. They didn't really tip their hand in terms of when they first became aware of this investigation. That's kind of important on these sort of situations is when was it known that this was being investigated? Because at a place like BYU, that on top of a criminal court system or legal charges, and then there's the honor code too. And in these documents today, Parker Kingston in that interview, he claimed that the sexual activity was consensual. So he admits to, publicly admitting to, violating the school's honor code. And if there was knowledge of that investigation and whenever that date happened, that interview, again, it wasn't disclosed what that date was, that interview, that raises some questions for sure.
So you go back and Jake Retzloff, there were accusations made. That was later dropped. But because of the honor code violation, he ends up having to transfer. So, based on past history, based on that he admitted that, yes, there was something that happened. It was consensual, at least according to him. It kind of, and I know I don't want to, this isn't about football. This is about much bigger things. But back to football a little bit, it does appear that probably Parker Kingston's career at BYU is probably done in some way, shape, or form.
No question. I mean, it's hard to imagine a path back from, this sort of thing. It's very difficult. And, because BYU with the honor code and everything that comes with that. I mean, it's hard to envision a path forward unless all of this gets completely cleared and Parker Kingston's name is cleared. He still violated the honor code, and at a minimum, that was 7 games for Jake Retzloff, and that would be a lengthy suspension for BYU's top receiver. So it's hard to picture a scenario where we're seeing Parker Kingston part of this team, but the process plays out. And I will say that the Jake Retzloff situation that was a civil lawsuit, which was so kind of different. But I thought BYU handled that appropriately, and it ended up being, I think, a situation where I guess it could maybe had an ending where Retzloff still had an opportunity to play football, and he got to the playoff. BYU had its success, and people moved forward from that situation. This one feels just it's a different level of intensity to all of this. I mean, all these allegations are always jarring and intense. This one, when again you're talking about Parker Kingston's in jail, and Jake Retzloff never faced that. I mean, after those initial allegations in that civil lawsuit, Jake Retzloff was still part of summer conditioning and going through workouts with BYU, whereas Kingston's in jail right now. And that just adds another layer to all of that. And I mean, I've followed BYU football for a very long time. I don't recall many players over the years that have been following the program where a guy that you knew was in jail is then running it back for in football on the field months later at a place like BYU. But we'll have to see on the timeline and let this due process play out.
Well, and that's the thing. Obviously, if he is guilty of what's being accused, he needs to go away for a long time, because in no way, shape, or form is that acceptable in any way. And so, yes, I mean, especially when you throw the first degree, the fact that it took a long time, which means you don't sit on something, you don't work on something for a year unless you've really got something. And so, our thoughts certainly with the victim and the situation just is, man, your heart aches for the victim, for the family, and everybody else involved in this. Let's move on to something certainly a little bit more enjoyable to talk about. BYU in basketball gets the win over Baylor the other night. Do you feel like that there were some things fixed and that BYU's on a better path, or was it just the fact that they played a team that, frankly, wasn't particularly good?
I think that they did fix a little bit in terms of, I think that this team is getting a little bit more contributions from Kennard Davis in that game, and that was positive. Defensively, though, BYU still showing issues. They're giving up career highs to many guys, it feels like, every single night, and to give up 94 points to a Baylor team that was, pretty run-of-the-mill in the Big 12, that's a little bit concerning. And, BYU, all of their 6 wins in Big 12 play have come against teams that are either 9th or lower in the Big 12 standing. So they don't have a signature win, you could say, in Big 12 play yet. The opportunities are going to be in front of them, but they haven't beat the big dogs in the league yet. And so that's, I think, what's still kind of waiting to see that from BYU to really say things have turned the corner from that, 5 out of 6 game stretch where they lost those games from that period. But, I think that what we did learn, though, from that game, Scotty, is that BYU, the top end of this roster, will always be a tough out with anyone that they face. And to score 99 points when you only hit 3 3-pointers, it speaks to their firepower and their efficiency, particularly from that big 3 that, you get into March, you've got 3 guys that you can confidently know can get you a bucket, and that's sometimes half the battle in a postseason setting.
So Jimmer's being honored coming up this weekend. Does it feel like it's been, 15 years now since Jimmer Mania?
That's right, 15 years, and he's kind of like a first ballot Hall of Famer in a way for BYU standards when it comes to jersey retirements. This is the earliest you can get your jersey in the rafters at BYU. You have to wait 15 years after your playing career is over, and right when the 15-year mark hit for Jimmer, Brian Santiago and BYU made that call and are getting him into the rafters, and well-deserved. I mean, that guy was a a legend in every sense of the word. I still kind of wonder I don't know if I would say he's the best BYU player of all time, because I still think that probably goes to Danny Ainge, but I think Jimmer created a generation of BYU basketball fans. I think before Jimmer, there were, BYU football fans, and yes, BYU fans showed up to basketball games, but it was nothing like it is now. And I think it all kind of traces back to that Jimmer mania, where people really invested into BYU basketball because, 30 years ago, they were the worst program in the country at 1-25, hit rock bottom. And then it was kind of brick by brick building it up after that point. And then they kind of culminated with Jimmer. And ever since, it's been, higher expectations, higher commitment to BYU basketball. And now you're seeing it at an even higher stage with Kevin Young and AJ DeBonsa. So Jimmer was, significant in terms of giving BYU the belief that they could, win big in college basketball, because for a long period of time before him, BYU was just a complete afterthought in terms of basketball. And he really revived, I think, the program and really created a generation of fans, I would say. So his impact will be felt for a very long time for BYU basketball.
Well, and that's the thing. When you have somebody who transcends Utah sports, and there was the Jimmer mania was a national phenomenon. It just wasn't Utah, it wasn't just this area. It wasn't just an LDS thing. It was oh my gosh, this guy has taken over the sport in a period of time unlike anything we've ever seen. And I will still, to my grave, when I look at, the top 10 events that I've covered or seen live, that semifinal game against New Mexico, when that place was packed with BYU fans and Lobo fans, and Jimmer put on a show in Vegas at the Mountain West Conference Tournament, still probably, I've covered a lot of cool events. I've seen a lot of cool things. That's probably will always be in my top 10 and somewhere in that ranking.
That definitely was an all-timer. I mean, 52 points, and those Mountain West tournaments are always a big deal. They've always been, and that one was near the top. I mean, I even remember when in Jimmer's senior year, on the early days of Twitter, when the place was kind of fun, actually, Chad Ochocinco, leading up to the BYU TCU game, is saying, "Where can I find my boy Jimmer?" And that was a game on the mountain. And I'm thinking, Chad Ochocinco's watching the mountain? Are you kidding me? Like, this is the reach of Jimmer Fredette. But Jimmer was, and that's the thing too, it was kind of like Bigfoot in a way, where he's this guy that's, dropping 40 footers, and he's on this channel called The Mountain and CSTV. So no one could see it. And it was just this Sports Center highlight. And it was still the early days of social media. It was kind of a unique time where he was at this intersection of new media kind of coming up in the early days, and then traditional media loved him. I mean, it was quite the ride for BYU basketball and for Jimmer, and might not ever see anything like it. Like, AJ DeBonsa has been, outstanding for BYU, but I still don't think it has like the reach, the phenomenon level of Jimmer. Like, AJ's better basketball player, but Jimmer was just something. I don't know how to even compare it. It was so unique and one of one. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. AJ DeBonsa could go on a tear, and I mean, he already is on a tear, but it'll never match the fever of that run. And again, I think there were a lot of factors involved that played into it, but my goodness, that was just that was a hell of a run for sure. Hey, Mitch, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for breaking things down for us. Again, great coverage of all things BYU at KSLSports.com. Hope you're well, my friend. Let's do it again soon.
Hey, thanks, Scotty. Appreciate it. Hope you're well as well, and talk again soon.
You got it. There he is, Mitch Harper, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, take a break. What you may have missed coming up next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on back. You're listening to 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, we got a busy show for you. Coming up a little bit later on, Tony Jones will join the program. Morgan Scalley, head coach of the University of Utah, will also join the show as well.
By the way, I thought TJ was going to join us. He was going to join us over the video stream. Confirmed everything. He actually just called me. And now we're not going to get TJ on the video stream.
Oh, okay. Well,
had you heard the story of his broken computer? Did you see it on social?
Yeah, he got hit with the shirt cannon. Yeah.
He still doesn't have a laptop.
Wow. Yeah, Athletics got to get him a new lapper.
I know. I was like, you don't have one yet? Come on.
Oh, boy.
It's working off his phone, apparently.
Well, that's no bueno. Yeah, no, remember we had the footage of Locke getting hit by a T-shirt, right?
Got the audio, too.
Do you have it? Dave Nellis joins us, AmericaFirst.com. By the way, you know what? I was going to bring one into you. The other night at Utah State was Spectrum Magic Night. And you've been up there. You know how the seats are all different colors. And so they had a T-shirt to match every seat up there. And so it's beautiful shirt. It says Spectrum Magic on the first. You flip it around on the other side, America First Credit Union.
We love to sponsor. We love to be where families are, where players are. We love to just get out in the community. So we're happy to and very proud to sponsor.
So you'll like this. So David Locke was calling a game, and there's Bear or somebody out there with a T-shirt cannon, and let's say Locke took some friendly fire.
53-44. Jazz by 9. Full timeout now. 1:57 left. I didn't get to see the replay on that. We'll try to see if we can get it when we come back. Jazz by 9. 1:57 left in the set. Oh, my God. Hashtag Jazz Blast is going to be quite something if someone's listening to the radio. Thank goodness we got halftime here in a second. I'm going to need it. So for those of you, I apologize. I have no idea if I said anything or anything at all, but they shoot T-shirts out of the gun here in the building, and I got hit by one. I'm sorry. I am really kind of out of it right now.
Anyway, Locke taking friendly fire out there. I thought you'd like that one.
Hear the cannon go.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny how many people will jump over other people,
Oh, I know.
other spectators down 3 rows just to get a free T-shirt. And here he gets one for free, but wasn't so pleasant.
I know. Lloyd wants one just to hit people in the office. Just be like, all right, you're out of line.
Oh, I need to make that happen.
Yeah.
I would love a
I know you would.
Team building exercise.
And it's
Absolutely.
And those T-shirts would be brought to you by America First Credit Union.
Absolutely.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a tremendous day. I know I am because I get to talk to this guy who I would like to think is where he is right now because he got a start in sports radio. It's Morgan Scalley, head coach of the University of Utah. Coach, how are you?
Dude, everything good that happens, I credit. Everything good that happens to me, I credit to the zone. My time with Scotty G, okay, Alema, the Red and Blue show.
Oh, yeah.
That was the best.
Oh, man, we had some good times, didn't we?
Yes. I can't believe how time flies. I was talking to Lloyd. It's unreal how time flies, and I'm mad that Hans isn't with you right now. I love that dude, and he did such a great job, and I wish him nothing but the best on his journey, but what a good dude. I know that you guys became super tight, and I just think he did an unreal job.
Yeah, and well, just know, the seat is always open for you. But I know you got a little bit on your plate right now. Going from, the coach in waiting thing's been in play for a little bit, and so you've always known this has been ultimately the destination. But now it's here. Do you still feel like you're drinking from a fire hose?
No, it's slowed down a little bit. Obviously, that first month was just crazy because of how things unfolded, and all of a sudden you're coaching the bowl game, but the biggest thing for me was getting the right hires, the guys in the building, and then I knew that everything would take care of itself in terms of everyone pulling the same direction and everyone on board with getting the best group of players that we could get. And I think we did a very good job both in the portal and also retaining our players. That's a big part right now of college football is the retention. You're recruiting your own players. It seems like every at least it was one portal window instead of 2 this go around. But I'm very excited about the guys we have in the building. It's been a very good start to the off season. The weightlifting program is elite right now with Greg Argist and his staff and what they're doing. and we're just getting ready for spring ball, brother.
I love it. I love it. So when you have an opportunity to build your staff, and I know that there's some guys that you brought in and that you're excited about, but what's a Morgan Scalley coach like? What are you looking for? We know what you look for in players, but what are you looking for in a coach? Are they somewhat similar characteristic types?
Well, from a coaching standpoint, there is so much teaching that goes on. In my opinion, you have to be a very good teacher. And so, it's such an interesting profession, and there's a ton of people that want to get into it. You go to the National Coaches Convention, and it's just thousands of these coaches that want to get in, that want to get their foot in the door, and they think that coaching is just awesome and unbelievable, and it really is a great profession, but there's so much that goes into it outside of just understanding X's and O's, and the teaching element is huge. Not only your ability to teach, we call it competent stress, the ability that you have to take your knowledge and expertise and make others better with it. I'm sure you've had a teacher, Scotty, that knew a whole lot but couldn't get you to learn.
Yeah.
And they're out there. So, in this profession, you want to get and be an attorney, you go to law school. You want to be a doctor, you go to dental school or medical school. But there's really no school for coaching outside of being a GA and getting into it and just learning as you go. And so it becomes very difficult to find good teachers that nowadays with the transfer portal and 40% of your roster changing over from year to year, that you can bring these kids in and teach them efficiently to get to grasp the scheme, to grasp what you're talking about quickly, because your season's coming up. So, with Kevin and Jordan and Chad, Luke, Ryan, all these guys that we brought on, that was a key, is can they help our guys learn? Can they teach? Next would be their ability to relate. And that's a recruiting thing too. Just when you step into a home and can you sell Utah football and what we've got going, our culture, can you fire up parents? Can you help the parents and the family and the decision makers feel the love that we have for their young men? And so that was I would say two. So one, great teacher; two, great recruiter, and then just the loyalty aspect of it, and was big to me. On the offensive side of the ball, we wanted to have something similar to last year's scheme because of the players that we had recruited, but also have our own flair, have our own, stamp on it. And that's what McGiven has done anywhere he's been. He's been in multiple offenses, so has the creativity to use the personnel that we have, not forcing our players to fit inside of just one scheme, but the ability we have to adapt and be innovative, that was huge as well.
So I admit I'm very biased here, but I've known Kevin McGiven for a long time. When he was on Matt Wells' first staff at Utah State 12, 13 years ago, to being back at Utah State last year, I think you hit a home run on that hire. What was it about him outside of the scheme that you liked, that he could work something very similar to what Jason Beck had last year? Outside of that, what really attracted to him to bring him up here to Salt Lake?
Well, the amount of people that would just hit me up about him. Hey, you've got to take a look at Kevin. You got to take a look at Kevin. And this is throughout the years when people thought that it was Scalley's year, whatever, he's going to be the head coach. They would always talk to me about Kevin McGiven. And so I just started studying film years ago on his stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. I understand why you're calling me about this guy, why you're texting me about this guy. And we brought him in much, like I do. I like to do this with hires, is getting them in front of multiple people, because I can have an idea of what I'm looking for. And I may have my blinders on and not see or feel or hear the things that maybe others do. And so I had our entire staff that was here remaining, because a bunch of our guys had taken off to Michigan already, but the remaining staff that we had sit in on this interview, and he was just awesome. Just the ability he had to talk scheme in a way that helped everyone in the room understand, he knows how to attack defenses at different levels. He knows how to use personnel. He was very eloquent, very, straight to the point, not a lot of fluff. And so I just loved his interview, and he just very well spoken. Plus, he's a tough guy, man.
Yeah.
He's an all-state wrestler, state champion wrestler, and people call him Mac G. How cool is that?
I
didn't know that.
I have. Well, I did not know that, but I know that now. Let's flip to the other side. How hard is it going to be? Colton Swan, no-brainer, and I'm so glad he got that opportunity and that you gave him the DC job. How hard is it for you to allow him to do his job when that was your job, but you've got all these other responsibilities? Are you going to have a hard time not sneaking into that room and seeing what he's up to?
Oh, no. I'm spending the majority of my time in the offensive room telling the offense, okay, here's how you beat this.
Yeah.
Here's what gives them trouble. And Swan's mad at me. Swan's walking around the facility just upset at Scalley for all the stuff that I'm doing on the offensive side of the ball. But I have just complete trust and confidence in not only Swan, but Coach Shaw, Luther, that Derek Odom, who I coached under, was able to watch coach as the safeties coach here at Utah. Inoke, just an amazing mind. So all the confidence in the world in them, and I'm here as a sounding board, much like Kyle was for me. I just want to make sure that I empower them, and I'm not a micromanager. And Colton Swan is very bright, very capable. He's been ready for this for a minute.
Morgan Scalley, new head coach of the University of Utah, joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Morgan, it's just been so much fun to watch you and get to know you throughout the years. You're such a good human being. How hard is it when you've got you've been around this profession for a long time? I can't imagine what it's like to have people call you up and say, hey, congratulations on the job. Hey, by the way, I'm available. I bet that's really hard when you have a lot of connections, but yet you really don't have spots for people.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's great that they feel comfortable calling.
Yeah.
And so as long as you're upfront with people and you let them know kind of what you're looking for, you definitely have tough conversations, particularly with people that you've either worked with before, coached under. Those can be tough when particularly they feel like they can add quite a bit of value to what you're doing. But there's only so many spots in this facility, and but as long as you're up front with people and truthful with people about expectations and letting them know when your decisions are going to be made, and I think they're very understanding for the most part. When
you have two good quarterbacks, and we know what Devin Dampier can do, obviously, and we got a good dose of Bert Ficklin, I think there were a lot of people that thought there's no way that Utah is going to be able to hang on to both of them. Obviously, there's financial aspects, and we don't need to get into that, but there's got to be a culture. There's got to be a system where those two feel comfortable, that they can coexist with each other, that Kevin McGivern can feed all the hungry mouths that need to be fed. What was that process like in making sure you're able to hold on to both of them? Well, a lot of it, because it's a combination of things, them feeling comfortable here, loving Salt Lake City, loving the fan base. Yes, the scheme was going to matter. Yes, the coaching was going to matter. And so that went into it as well. Them, me communicating with them what we were looking for, what we were going after, them, the ability they had to come in the facility and sit with Kevin and talk scheme and all that. I think Bert has a vision too of, look, Devin, this is Devin's last year, and I can come in and be that guy, and he's proven what an unbelievable playmaker he is. And at the same time, we want to be able to utilize him more, and not just the running aspect of what he does, because he can throw it and he can zip it. And so
that's where you're going to see some creativity, some innovation on offense, and do some things with those guys that really maximizes both of their strengths. And we're excited because they love Utah. They love our fan base. They love being here, and obviously they're fully bought into the scheme and Kevin. So this is going to be a fun year for those two.
You've been part of college football when you transfer, you have to sit out a year. There was no NIL. The world has completely changed upside down. And there's a lot of coaches out there that are grumpy about it and upset about the situation you're in. You've always been positive and saying, look, we can adapt. We can make this work. How hard has it been sometimes to keep that level of positivity when it seems like every other day your world gets turned upside down?
Well, it can be, I don't know if frustrating is the right word. I think it can be disappointing at times, and when you've created relationships that you feel are meaningful, and you feel like the culture that you have here is special, and sometimes out of your control, and even sometimes out of the young man's control, they feel they need to leave. And so, at that point, all you can do is tell them you love them, and hope that they carry your culture to the next place that they go to, and wish them well, because at the end of the day, they're doing what they feel is best for them and their future. And yes, it can be disappointing to have them go, particularly if you've recruited them and spent time in their, with their family and their homes, and you've built this relationship and helped develop them. But it is what it is. And I think there's a line in Moneyball. It's adapt or die. Yeah. And so it's really focusing on, because you can spend a lot of time just being down in the dumps about, man, we lost this guy, but you have to move on and focus on those that want to be a part of your program, because there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of good football players, but also a lot of great kids, a lot of young men that are looking for our culture, that are looking for what we feel is special here. And so to me, it's just about those that want to go, hey, love them, bless them, and those that want to come in, man, we are going to give you our all. We're going to pour into you and help you become the best person and best player you can become, and we're going to win a lot of games doing it.
You never appear to be a guy that would burn bridges anyway, but it seems like when you're recruiting a kid and he calls up and says, hey, coach, I loved everything about meeting you and your staff, but I've decided, this is a kid coming out of high school, that I've decided to go here. I got to imagine you got to make sure, like, you leave the message like, hey, we love you, we think a lot of you, because, maybe a year, 2 years from now, he's looking for a new home and you still want to have that bridge built.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've seen it with so many players, so many different players throughout the years. Kylie Fitz, who ended up going to UCLA, a Miles Battle that goes to Ole Miss, Francis Bernard, Logan Fano to BYU. I mean, just all over the place. Levani Damoudi to Stanford, guys that you recruit, that you pour into, and they, for whatever reason, they feel like another spot is better for them. And all you can do is say, hey, dude, I'm a fan of you, brother, and I want you to be successful wherever you go, and just know that we love you. And, if things ever change, you let us know.
So one last thing before we let you go, and I know your time is busy. We can't thank you enough for making time for us, but you're probably going to lose 2 first-round picks on the offensive line, those 2 anchors on the right and left side. Jordan Gross comes in with a ton of experience as a player. What really impressed you with him in the interview process, that he can do what you mentioned and not just be a great player and know the game, but also be able to teach the game, because you got some pretty big shoes to fill on that O-line?
Yeah, no question. And again, it's like, okay, I need a guy that can come in here and teach. And, me talking to Jordan throughout the years, same conversations I've had with Weddle, same conversations I've had with guys that I thought would be very good coaches. And you just have conversations, when is it your time? When do you feel comfortable? But also throughout the years, you talk scheme, you talk football, and there isn't a man, if there's a better teacher out there the offensive line, and there's a lot of good ones. I mean, we just lost one in Jim Harding, unbelievable coach, unbelievable teacher. But I am so excited for Jordan, and you're seeing the players get super excited about him and what he brings to the table. A ton of experience, but also a guy that wasn't just gifted at, five-star talent. He's a guy that worked his tail off. He and I were in the same recruiting class in 1998.
Yes.
Before all these guys were born. And he came in from Fruitland, Idaho, tall, skinny kid with big ears. And my gosh, I looked at him. I'm like, dude, hey, man, what do you play, tight end? And I'm an offensive tackle. And I'm sitting there, we're lifting together. I'm lifting more weight than him, and I go on my mission. I come back, and this guy's hang cleaning 405 like it's nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, what happened to you? But he is just a worker. No one's going to outwork this guy. Nobody in recruiting, and we're seeing it already on the recruiting trail and with the development already of this offensive line. So we did a great job, we feel, in retaining guys, but also in going out and getting a Cedric Jefferson from Montana State, Isaiah Kemma from Ohio State. Kelvin Obot was a guy that Jordan coached in high school, and man, is he every bit of what a five-star should be. And so we're excited for him, and just the guys that we got coming back. You look at the offensive line in the bowl game, we end up losing Michael Mokafisi early on in the first half. And so all those guys that were playing throughout the remainder of the game, that second half, those were your backups, and they did a heck of a job. They dominated that game. So these are the guys that we got coming back, and could not be more excited for their opportunity to show what they can do, because they hear the same thing. Oh, what's going to happen? You lose your entire offensive line. Well, they're excited for their opportunity, and they're excited to be able to show what they can do.
Morgan, couldn't be happier for you. Tell Sharif I said what's up, and let's get you on here in the near future, okay?
Anytime, Scotty. You're the man. Appreciate you, brother. Take care.
You got it. There he is, Morgan Scalley. And I've told people this forever. I am completely unable to be unbiased when it comes to Morgan Scalley. That guy I've known for a long time. Morgan Scalley will always be one of my favorite people on the planet. And, we got Utah fans that we say, you guys hate Utah, or BYU fans that hate BYU. No, it's about relationships, honestly. I root for people. And I'll always root for Morgan Scalley. I'll always root for Kalani Sitake. And plus, when BYU and Utah are good, it's frankly good for business, too. So this is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
It is your good, it is your bad, it is your ugly. And obviously, we start with the good, and what a night for former Bountiful High star, former Utah State star Sam Merrill, a career
former Scotty G neighbor.
Yeah.
Merrill, he was a neighbor, right?
And not close neighbor. He's just a Bountiful guy. He's a neighbor. Yeah, he's about a 3-iron away. But Sam Merrill ends up going 9 of 10 from beyond the three-point line, a career high 32 points. And the dude was absolutely locked in. Afterwards, you're going to hear from a collection of players, Sam himself, but you'll hear from James Harden. You're going to hear from Donovan Mitchell. You're going to hear from his coach as well, as everybody singing the praises of Sam Merrill.
What's going through your mind when Sam goes on a heater like that?
Man, like I was saying over here, he was talking a little noise before the game. I guess one of the keys to the game on the IG account was like, get Sam cooking. And he was like, have I been that bad? And I didn't say yeah, but he took it. I guess he took it personally tonight. But to see a performance like that, that's incredible. And he was very rarely to see him go 0 for 5 or 0 for 6. So I knew at some point, even though he hit 3 threes the other night, at some point he was going to explode. But I didn't think it'd be that.
Crowd was great. I've to appreciate that shooting exhibition. That was really cool. That was one of the cooler moments of the year. I mean, they were just hyped, and he just kept putting them down, and we kept finding them.
The first two games, Sam I don't even know, he probably made 1 or 2 threes. But, just see him working every single day like he's a sniper. You know what I mean? So when somebody has it like that going, I was just trying to get the ball to him just to, create those shots. But, that's the beauty of this team. You know what I mean? We don't have, got somebody that can go out there and score 30 and we don't have to do nothing. You know what I mean? So, and it makes a lot of sense, especially in the postseason. You're going to need other players to step up. Obviously, the main guys are going to be the main guys, and we get a lot of the focus and the attention. But, guys like Sam and JT and just everybody else, that can make shots and put the defense on their heels. I don't know how you can stop it.
Yeah, it's fun. Haven't had one like that in a little bit. So, you just kind of feel like everything's going to go in, and it's. Every possession, it's like James and Don are looking for me, and I'm almost like, it's all good. I'll get my threes. Don't need to force anything, but they both did a great job of kind of finding me, and fortunately a bunch went in.
Cavaliers get the 138-113 victory over Washington. As we mentioned, Sam Merrill ends up a career-high 32 points on the night, and what was really fun about watching him do his thing. He's 11 of 12 overall from the field, but 9 of 10 from beyond the three-point line. Also had 5 rebounds, dished out a couple assists. James Harden, though, had 11 assists in that game. And James Harden, that's what I thought was really cool. Harden only has 13 points, but he dishes out 11 assists, and I believe 5 of them went directly to Sam Merrill. Donovan Mitchell, he ends up with 30 as well in that game. But he's got a bunch of assists in that game, and a couple of them went to Sam. So I think James Harden had some really interesting quotes about, yes, you need other players to step up, and you need other players to have big nights. I think James Harden's at a point in his career where I think he's okay with now he's not okay with a bunch of them, but I think he's okay with one night where he goes 13 points, 11 assists, and another guy goes for 32 points. Because that dude's been carrying the load in a lot of different places. Now, granted, he's done it willingly and more than happy to be the guy. But Gordy Chiesa used to tell me all the time when we were doing shows together that a guy will hit a point in his career, a superstar will hit his point where it's not about just making money, it's about winning games. And you want to leave a little bit of a legacy in being a champion. And when you get to a point, you've racked up a ton of money, individual accolades, MVPs, all that stuff, but you realize you don't have the ring to go along with it. And then you're like, yeesh, we got to get that fixed. We got to find a way to get it done. All right. There is your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
So Kansas State. Kansas State gets worked. And Jerome Tang is none too happy about it. And this is the world of NIL we're living in right now, where, yes, kids can make a lot of money, but the accountability is going to go way higher than what it was. And don't think for a second, I don't think, had everything else been the same, I don't think Jerome Tang goes off on his team 5 years ago like he does in this situation you're about to hear right now. Because there's this unwritten rule where, hey, look, they're amateurs. They're not making any money. They're just getting their education. You treat them a little bit more like kid gloves, especially in the media. Now, behind the scenes, you can rip the kid apart. But to the media, you got to take a little bit of a more softer approach. Well, now these kids are making millions of dollars, and you have had to go out and fundraise for them to get them those dollars. And so when they don't play well and you lose to Cincinnati 91-62, well, yeah, you're going to get hot and you're going to be really upset. Here's Jerome Tang after that game.
Hey, I'm going to honor Christ like I always do. Blessed to do this, but this was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. You know, it is just ridiculous. We got practice at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we will get this thing right. I have no answer, no words. So y'all got 2 questions. So whoever want to ask 2 questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability right now. But right now, like I'm like pissed, and this is all right. Questions.
I guess it just kind of comes with puzzling if you look at your road and home splits. The last 4 road games have been down the wire, and you run off the court. Just kind of explain that.
Yeah, I don't know. I asked the staff this week that same question, and they said that more the opponents. You play. I don't know, like because I followed Minnesota last year. Closely, and they played great on the road and struggled at home. So then they started staying in hotels at home, like treating it like a road game. And so I even talked about, hey, do we need to change that change? But like, no, none of that crap matter, man. These dudes got to have some. They got some pride, man. They got some pride. It means something to wear a K-State uniform. It means something to put on this purple, man. Our everything this university is about and all that it's been about, why I love this place, man. Like they don't love this place, so they don't deserve to be here.
Just what did you make of the student section with paper bags on their heads?
Yeah, I'd wear a paper bag too if I was them. Thanks a lot, fellas. God bless.
All right. There's a lot to unpack there because there's obviously you feel the frustration. I don't think Jerome Tang says that 5 years ago. I think there's a bunch of reasons why he's ticked off. And we can go with the financial aspect. He didn't say that out loud, but he said it because there's 2 things there. Number one, he doesn't feel like there's any loyalty to the school. And really, he's right. Because it's impossible to develop loyalty and love for a school when you're there on campus for maybe 7 months, if that. And so you're asking somebody to represent the purple and represent the school, when in reality, they're probably taking 2 or 3 classes online and they're done. Like they're one and done. They're all mercenaries. Yeah. Like, you know what? It's one thing when you grow up in a country and you're asked to fight for your country. Well, you bleed red, white, and blue. But if you just brought a bunch of people for hire and said, hey, fight for our country, like, okay, I will because you're paying me. But honestly, I'm more worried about staying alive than I am dying for my country. You just can't. And Morgan Scalley kind of touched on this as well. You really don't have the time that you had. Morgan Scalley, came to Utah, went on a mission, came back, and just worked his way up the food chain to the point where he was an all-conference safety and ended up leading a team to remarkable achievements. But that didn't happen overnight, okay? It was a lengthy process, and through that process, he developed a love for the tradition and honoring the logo and honoring the team that he fought for and everything that came along with it. You don't get that these days. These kids, yes, are mercenaries. But the problem is it works both ways because Jerome Tang's not thrilled because these guys don't love Kansas State. Well, guess what he's going to do? He just said it. He said, you know what? These guys don't deserve to wear the jersey, and very few of them will be back next year. So you as a coach are also part of the problem because you're cutting dudes loose. You're not allowing guys the opportunity to grow and develop a love for the school because you get beat by Cincinnati, you're worried about your job, so what are you going to do? I need a new roster. So you cut everybody loose, which you can do well within the rules, and so you're trying to harbor loyalty when you yourself, when something goes wrong, you're not necessarily about loyalty either. And I'm not mad at Jerome Tang, I'm not mad at the players, it's just the system now. It's just how it is. A coach, look, he's not invested in you for 4 or 5 years. If you're not producing after year 1, you're out. You, on the other hand, you produce well above your station, then you're probably out to go chase the dollar bill somewhere else or get more opportunities somewhere else. So we've just harbored that kind of culture right now in college athletics where we're all upset that nobody has that undying love for their school. But what have we done to help foster that? Nothing.
And Jerome Tang is He's talking about players. He's not going to be there. I mean, his first year with K-State.
Awesome.
Phenomenal. Elite Eight, lost to FAU. Second year, they lost in the NIT to in the first round to, I think, Iowa, and then hasn't been back since. This has been going downhill since his first season. He's not going to be back.
Yeah, that first year, he was kind of the golden child of college football.
Absolutely. Made that Elite Eight run.
Yeah. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up at 2:05, the great Tony Jones. TJ, you had to move to Philly. I got an empty seat here. Could have been yours. But no, you got to move to Philadelphia. But he was in town yesterday for the Jaren Jackson press conference. I believe he still is in town. We will talk to him coming up at 2:05, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends. Nice. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, kicking off your 2 o'clock hour. Utah Jazz announcing earlier today, Jaren Jackson will undergo surgery on his knee, kind of a precautionary surgery, and he is done for the year. So you got a little bit of a sample size of what your future next year and years going forward will look like with Jaren Jackson, and enough to certainly get you excited, that's for sure. How he plays on the court with Lauri Markkanen, and then, of course, going into next year, hopefully you got Walker Kessler re-signed and ready to go. So, yeah, it's going to be a really fascinating run here for the Utah Jazz as they continue to get ready for the start of the upcoming season. But you got to hold on to that draft pick. You got to do whatever you can. I don't care if you're ticking off Brian Windhorst. I don't care who you're making mad. Doesn't matter. You got to hold on to that pick. Because if that lottery balls don't go your way and you're 9th or higher, then that sucker's going to convey to Oklahoma City. And let's be honest, Oklahoma City doesn't need any help. They don't need a top 10 pick. So you want the Jazz. Again, I know you hate saying it, but it's the smart move. Lose games. Lose games. Make sure you're drafting in the top 5. You have a very strong chance in this draft to get a generational player. So go out and make it happen. It's really that simple. Now, you might get people angry about the way you do it. Don't care. Don't matter. Don't listen to them. You can let these talking heads run their mouth all they want. Won't change a thing for you. Okay? If you're able to get, especially in the top 3 of the upcoming NBA draft, you're good as gold. And you can really start building for the future. All right, joining us now from The Athletic, it is the one, it is the only, it is at one point would have been a potential co-host, but he had to go run to Philadelphia. It is Tony Jones. TJ, how are you, man?
I'm like a reverse Fresh Prince. I run to Philadelphia, not away from Philadelphia.
Yeah, a playground fight. And okay, look, we got to clean the air here, or clear the air here. You're blaming a T-shirt, and it's just between you and me. It's just you and me listening. You're blaming a T-shirt cannon for breaking your computer. Let's be honest. That was a fit of anger, wasn't it?
Okay, so I'm going to answer this. But now that we had the actual playground fight on, I'm going to give you some Tony Jones trivia.
Okay.
Not Tony Jones trivia. I'm going to give you a little-known Tony Jones fact. Are you ready for this?
Yep, hit me.
The exact playground that Will Smith got into the fight on is not in West Philly. It's actually in Center City. And it was actually 2 or 3 blocks away from where I lived in Center City. And, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I got into a fight on that playground.
Oh, nice.
My junior year of high school, Roman Catholic, which this is also funny. This playground, this neighborhood was Spanish. It wasn't black. My junior year of high school, Roman Catholic, me and a couple of 3 or 4 of the other Roman Catholic
up to no good
players, we went and we played pickup ball at that playground against those guys, and we beat those guys so bad, which wasn't the problem. The problem was my mouth.
Yeah, I can see that.
While we were beating, I was just it was really kind of crazy, and then we turned around and there were 40 of them.
Oh.
There were 40, Scott, there were 40 of them. And the next thing I heard was somebody punched me in the face. And the next thing I heard was, don't let them out.
Oh.
So I, that day, turned from a basketball star into a track star.
And you don't need to outrun. You don't need to outrun the crew. You just got to outrun your teammate.
I just listen. It was every man for themselves at that point. And I will say this: everybody who was there is still alive, so that's good.
So I got to imagine your time at that court was limited to that one time.
We never went back.
Yep.
But every time I see Aaron Wessel and you see the court, and I'm just like, yeah, that court's no joke.
That is funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think it really softened your voice, because you like to mix it up with everybody, and that's why I love chatting with you, because you and I can argue over anything, and it's one of the funnest things on the planet is to get you riled up and get you fired up. But honestly, this vitriol coming towards the Utah Jazz, Tony, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's
crap.
It's straight crap, right?
It's crap. And I'll tell you what it is. It's Oklahoma City going through back channels to try to put pressure on the Jazz to play the season out in order for them to get the pick.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Interesting.
So it's OKC going through back channels, planting stories in order to pressure the Jazz into playing the season.
Well, the Jazz responded by saying, all right, you want us to play your games? Jaren Jackson's out for the year.
Yeah, pretty much. The Jazz are going to do whatever they have to do to keep the pick.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, just from being around here, I'm in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
For being in Salt Lake for the last 36 hours, I don't think they care one bit what people were thinking of them.
Yeah. It's just the weird. Okay, so this has been going on for decades, and the fact that people are upset about this is the way. Okay, I don't know if there's some code among thieves that there's a tanking the right way to rule book. You can do this, but don't you dare do this. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's hilarious because the Jaren Jackson thing is real. And they, it's an actual thing. It's an actual condition, and it's not life-threatening or you can play with it, but every single doctor is going to tell you, like, all right, you can play with this, but we really recommend that you take care of this right now. It's a tumor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even if it's benign, it's still a tumor. I don't want a benign tumor in my body if I can take it out.
Yeah.
So no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I'm just kind of curious on the timeline on that. Did the Jazz know on the trade, or is this something that popped up afterwards?
It popped up afterwards. I will say that there was sentiment to not let him play at all. But Jaren wanted to play. Because he wanted to play in front of the home fans before the surgery. So it was kind of that. But, the irony of this is, let's take out Larry Markkinen, because that part is what it is. But everybody who was, taking to Twitter, taking to social media, oh, my God, they're sitting Jaren Jackson in the fourth quarter. Jaren Jackson was on a 25-minute restriction. all 3 of those games. So I think the unintended or intended benefit, if you're the Jazz, is we might lose these games, except for they went 2-1 in those games. But he was on a minutes restriction. He wasn't going to play in the fourth quarter if, these guys were San Antonio.
Let's look ahead. Let's look ahead to next year. And so you've got a starting 5 potentially of Walker Kessler. And I want to ask you about Walker here in a bit. Let's just assume for the sake of this argument that Walker's back. And then you've got Jaren Jackson at the 4. You got Laurie at the 3. You got Ace Bailey at the 2. And you got Keontae George at the 1. That's a monstrous lineup. How much does that help you defensively?
Well, it helps you because you have 3 7-footers on the floor. And, if you're that big, and you have that many guys on the floor that are 7 feet and that big, you're going to shrink the floor. So, just by definition, there's going to be less space on the floor for other teams because you got 3 7-footers on it. Now, the benefit of that is, along with those 7-footers, they can all walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. Those guys can move. So you don't have, 7-foot stiffs out there. You got 3 7-foot athletes out there. So, that's what's going to make it really tough. And then, Walker Kessler is one of the best 5 rim protectors in the league, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the best 10 rim protectors in the league. So, the weakness is, Lowry's going to have to guard some of the dynamic, small forwards in the league. He's going to have to guard like maybe the Jaylen Browns of the league and the Jason Tatums of the league, things like that. Kevin Durant, things like that. But in terms of being able to shrink the floor, it's one of the things that made the Houston Rockets really difficult to deal with because they were putting, Kevin Durant on the floor and Alfred Sengun and Steven Adams on the floor. So, if you get one of those 3 in spacing by themselves, you could take advantage of them. But when Steven Adams and Sengun is on the floor, there's no space to take advantage of. So I think that can be the Jazz on steroids because not only you have those guys, doing that on defense, but, Lauri Markkanen is one of the true 3-level scorers in this game offensively, and Jaren Jackson Jr. is not far behind. So you have 2 7-footers who offensively can just kind of wreck you, and they're on the same team. So if I were the Jazz, I'd try to get more passing on the roster. I'd try to use the cap space that I'm going to have this summer to get more veterans on the roster who can really help. But I'm really bullish on how good they can be next year. I think they can be a top 4 Western Conference team next year.
When you look at Walker Kessler as a restricted free agent, it only takes one GM to set the market for a player. Everybody keeps talking about the $25 million per range. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody gave him 30 plus. Coming off that injury, what do you think the market bears for him?
So I think that the two sides are about $7 million apart. I think the Jazz want to keep this in the $25 million range. I think Walker's people want around 32. I think ideally on both sides, they figure out a way to come to meet in the middle. I think that the Jazz are going to match any offer that he gets. So if he goes to, the Los Angeles Lakers and gets a $35 million offer sheet, I think the Jazz are going to suck it up and match it. Simply because, the Jazz have turned down, major offers for Walker, multiple major offers, and not just this year, over last year. I personally know a team, I know of a team at the draft last year who offered the Jazz a lottery pick for Walker Kessler, and the Jazz said no. And there's obviously the reported interest of Indiana. There was a team that offered 2 drafts ago, one unprotected first-round pick and one protected first-round pick. So there have been teams that have been trying to pry Walker away from the Jazz for over the course of multiple years. So, if you're the Jazz, you can't turn back now. You can't turn down all of these offers and then not protect the assets. So, I think somebody can offer whatever, and I think the Jazz are just going to go ahead and match it. But ideally, I think, if you're the Jazz, because there is some consternation here, there is some tension here between both sides. Walker's people are not happy with the Jazz. This is all true. So I think if you're the Jazz, I think it would be prudent enough to figure out a number that placates both sides. Maybe it doesn't have to be the number that Walker's people want, but at least it has to be a number that makes Walker's people feel respected for what Walker does and for what Walker brings to the table. So that will figure out. They'll figure that part out during the summer. But I think that's going to be a major challenge for the Jazz, and I think is going to be a challenge for Walker's people to figure out what they want to accept and how they want to proceed with whatever the Jazz bring to the table.
The great Tony Jones joining us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The acceleration on the career path of Keontae George, did that allow the Jazz to be a little bit more aggressive than maybe they would have been otherwise?
Yeah, because now you've got a borderline all-star point guard, or whatever you want to call Keontae. You have somebody that's one of the better point guards in the league. And guess what? You have to pay him this summer, or you have to agree to pay him this summer. And you're going to have to start paying him next summer. And that's probably going to be max money. So guess what? You need to go out and trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. At the trade deadline, because that's going to be your team. So once all of these guys are under contract at the same time, Walker, Keontae, Lowry, Jaren Jackson Jr., that's going to be your team. It's one of the reasons why the Jazz are so bent on keeping this pick, because the pick is probably the last shot at adding a 5th guy that's going to be good. So if you keep the pick and you get really lucky and you get Darren Peterson or AJ DeBansa, then guess what? You have a championship level core. And if you get, if you are in the 6th spot in the lottery and you get the 6th or the 7th pick, you can still get somebody who is really has a chance to be good, because this draft is maybe the best draft that I have seen since LeBron James's draft, and that's 2003. So it's the Jazz just have to keep the pick. Whatever comes their way, whatever backlash comes their way, they're just going to have to deal with it, and they're going to have to keep the pick. It's one of the reasons why at this point, they just don't care with what the narrative is and what the national, what the national people are talking about, because, it's not going to affect how they proceed. They're going to go ahead and figure out a way to keep the pick, or try to figure out a way to keep the pick.
So you're Austin Ainge, and the Jazz have the number 1 pick overall. Knowing what you need and knowing what you want for your team, who are you picking number 1 overall?
Oh, Darren Peterson.
You worried a little bit about what's going on with him at Kansas?
No, not at all. Do you know what's going? Like, to me, it's obvious. It's obvious that he has a camp that just doesn't want him to play basketball in college.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So, if my man gets a hangnail, they're going to sit him out. So that's just obvious what it is. Yeah, the hamstring was real. That part was real. And hamstrings can happen to anything. But my man caught a sniffle and sneezed one time in the layup line and was like, yo, I can't play against Arizona. That's his camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will just go out on a limb and predict that if he sneezes in the layup line in an NBA game, he's going to keep playing.
He's going to be just fine. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, what's best cheesesteak in Philly? Where are you going?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's not those tourist traps like Pat's and Geno's, right?
No. You know what? I'm going to say something. I'm going to go against the grain a little bit. So there's a mob figure named Skinny Joey Merlino.
Nice.
Who opened up a place called Skinny Joey's, which is around the corner from Xfinity Mobile Arena, which is where the Sixers play. And he's got like this great cheesesteak. Like, it's phenomenal. Me and the wife went and got in line and waited in line for like an hour in 100-degree heat. And there were these three girls who drove up from Virginia just to get the cheesesteak.
Jeez.
And then they were drove back. And yeah, so I'm gonna say Skinny Joey's is gonna be my go-to for cheesesteak in Philly.
Done and done. If I'm ever out there, you're buying. How about that?
I got you, bro.
I love it. Hey, you're the best, man. Let's keep in touch, and if you get bored, come back. I got radio for you.
I got you, my guy. I appreciate you so much, man.
You're the best. It is Tony Jones from The Athletic right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, coming up next, Blake Moore, Representative Moore from the state of Utah, introducing a bill to try to figure out some issues on NIL. He will join us next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Really fired up for this next conversation. There's been a lot of talk about NIL and the landscape of college athletics, and there's a lot of unintended consequences to a lot of the things that are going on right now. And here to help break it down a little bit, Representative Blake Moore from the state of Utah, who's got a bipartisan bill that has been introduced. And let's talk a little bit about that bill. Blake, first off, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. How are you? Congratulations on your Seahawks, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm doing great, and it's good to be on talk radio where, we can talk about the things that really matter.
Yes. Normally we just talk about
sports talk radio.
Yeah.
Sports talk radio. The things that really matter.
Yeah, the sports, that's what really matters in life. But the No Foreign NIL Fund Act, talk a little bit about the background and why you introduced that and what you're really trying to accomplish here.
It's really simple. We're just trying to get out ahead of likely and potential issues down the road with, malign forces trying to come in and influence our higher education institutions, right? Because athletics, college athletic sports, these are still scholar athletes. These are still universities, public universities. We do not need this to turn into the mess that we saw with the PGA, right? And LIV and everything. We just want to get out ahead of that because the recent lawsuit or court decision didn't necessarily didn't dictate this in any way, one way or the other. And we want to make sure that we're just not allowing for this type of massive, influential money to sort of infiltrate our college athletics. There's enough money as it is. We don't need this extra piece.
What's interesting is in the press release, you referenced the University of Colorado coach who went and talked to the Saudis about raising money. We know him. Trevor Riley's been on the show a couple times, and I know Trevor really well. And look, the pressure on these coaches or these administrators to find any kind of dollars that are out there is just immense. So So essentially, I think this is a good way to try to protect universities from themselves because there's so much immense pressure out there to find any extra dollar they possibly can.
If it's allowed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
They're gonna be forced or pressured into doing it. And so we just want to create a line here that says, hey, the NIL is a part of our athletics now. We get that. Collegiate athletics, and players can take advantage of this. But this is going to be a step too far, and we do not want the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, or Singapore's sovereign wealth fund, or even, coming in with massive investments, or even, we don't even want any of our, Norway and our allies. Those are massive, massive funds that we just don't want them to, infiltrate what we're trying to do here.
I couldn't agree more. And the reason I brought up Trevor is it's not like he felt like I didn't really want to, but I felt like I had to be creative and try to find something here. And if you limit that and say, okay, that's a line you cannot cross, then you force people to be creative in areas that are certainly within the lines and get some guide work. Because I think, Representative Moore, I think that's what we're all looking for right now is just some guidelines and some ways in which to act. And you've seen these coaches and administrators really hoping that Congress can help out. Now, you guys have a lot on your plate, certainly, but I think any kind of guidance is certainly welcome at this point.
I was so disappointed. It was about a month and a half ago. I think that was about the timeline. We had a really good bill that would still allow for tons of investment and athletes to make, I played at Utah. I redshirted at Utah State. I actually had to buy my own tracksuit as part of this has swung so far into money being, directly spent on our athletes. And people were ultimately supportive of that.
Yeah.
Because they saw coaches make so much. They saw universities becoming, the players do deserve something here. I think everybody's there. But they see it go from 0 to 60, even without a bunch of foreign money coming in, it still got out of hand really quickly. And we just want to make sure this is an area I think we can all get behind of putting some, limitations on this. We couldn't pass that bill a few months ago because it just was politically, and it's tough to do anything right now. But we think we can do something on this at least.
Well, I will say this. There's a word that we don't use very often in today's political landscape, and that is bipartisanship. This is a bipartisan bill that you've introduced here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, anything that actually passes Congress mostly has to be, unless it's specific to revenue one time a year. But for the most part, they all have to be collaborative. And I think folks can get behind this.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. So it's been a while since I've seen the I'm a Bill cartoon in civics class back in high school. So kind of walk us through your next steps and the hope of getting this passed.
Right. We do things by the book over here in my team. So look for bipartisan co-sponsorship. We'll put it through the committee of jurisdiction. And so there's a long road ahead. No question. But there's interest in this. We couldn't pass the NIL piece that we tried about 2 months ago, like I mentioned, but there's still appetite to do something. So maybe a more focused, scaled back approach that just deals with this one particular issue could be more successful, and we'll try to navigate it through. These things take some time, but it would be. I think we can all get to this place.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever. Before I let you go, you got the Sam Darnold jersey. How cool was that? And I can't imagine as a Seahawk fan, there's been a better moment than to be able to watch your team win a Super Bowl.
I'm still wearing my Steve Largent jersey.
Nice.
So,
there you go.
I mean, I'm a diehard. I was 7 years old when this became my team. We were all, as Utahns, we were either force-fed the Broncos because of the TV network, or, you were a Steve Young fan for the Niners, or and I was like the only Seahawks fan growing up. I went through 15 years of absolute despair as a Seahawks fan. We had the roughest 90s you could have ever imagined. The tail end of the AFC West, but to beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl 10 years ago, and then to get redemption when we lost after losing to the Patriots in that horrific way we did at the 1 yard line, I'm on cloud nine. Plus, I had a Super Bowl ad for my bill.
Yes.
So the Invest America initiative that provides $1,000 seed funding Trump accounts to every baby born in the next 4 years, that had a Super Bowl ad. So my team wins, my bill gets a Super Bowl ad. That's not something that's an awesome weekend.
That's a heck of a day at the office right there. There's no doubt. And look, you know what? You know you're a diehard fan when you reference the AFC West, because the kids these days don't know that because I'm a Broncos guy. The Broncos and Seahawks, I mean, it was twice a year back in the day. So that's when you know somebody actually knows their stuff, when they bring up the old AFC West days and Brian Bosworth, and you did have to live through the Rick Meyer, Dave Craig era, but
we definitely did, but we're better for it.
Yes,
we're better for it.
Yes, indeed. Hey, let us know if there's anything we can do to help. Any kind of guidance on NIL that we can see going forward, even at this level and going forward. Obviously, I'm all for. I know the general public is for. The college basketball fans or college athletic fans certainly are as well. We just love to see some guidelines installed in this before it's all said and done. But thank you so much for your time. Safe travels, and let's talk again soon. All right, 2:45 coming up next. We'll wrap up the show straight ahead. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, wrapping up another edition of the show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Remember, coming up on tomorrow's show, we will be live at Tim Daly Mazda Southtown. That's Tim Daly Mazda Southtown on Automall Drive. And we'll have a special guest, special co-host, I guess I should say, former Utah State head football coach, former Texas Tech head football coach, Matt Wells will join us coming up on the program tomorrow. So he will be our honorary co-host for the day. Next week, we've got Kevin Graham, who's going to be hanging out with us, working on a few other people. This is time where we're really going to start hitting it hard on getting some people, not necessarily, I don't want people to think it's an audition per se, but it's just look, we're going to fill this role. We're going to have a co-host. You're going to get I know people are having a hard time. I get it. You're tired of me just rambling. Totally understand. Lloyd is more than anybody. We're going to get somebody. Just give us a little bit of time.
Really?
Wow.
You even had like a sign of you in the crowd at Utah State. That's how much people are not tired of you.
I think that was more of a mocking thing.
No,
like they've got like
so.
Kevin from The Office.
Did you get the picture of it?
Did he send it
to
me?
No, I thought he because
yeah, he was supposed to. Christian was going to send it to me. Oh, let's see. Wow. Yep, there it is. That's, I'm not necessarily sure this is a good thing.
I would like that sign to actually be bigger.
Yeah, I do. And by the way, Dave Nellis, that's a sign of somebody just kind of, I don't know, got a picture and blew it up and put it in the crowd. So
I think they stole that from the website.
Yeah, they did. So, but here's the thing, Lloyd. I don't think when you're trying to make a guy miss free throws and you're putting up my picture, I don't think that's a compliment.
Well, they'll put up, it's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if you look at it that way.
Right,
and I don't think it is.
They have
but they do need to make it bigger.
You know what else is on there? Is a wedding picture of Dave Fox. So come on. I mean,
now that'll make you mess up.
See, that's the thing. Look, I mean, there you go, Dave. Look at the crowd I'm dealing with there. That's not a compliment.
Have you seen those like on X when somebody says retweet this for every retweet I'll make it bigger?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I like that.
Let's make Scotty bigger.
Yeah. I don't know. Dave Nellis, America First Credit Union. That's not a compliment, Dave. Right?
I'm gonna say that any exposure potentially could be good exposure. I mean, you have endearing fans out there. They're like, what could I do that's kind of funny?
Yeah, all right.
I would take it as a good thing.
Friday edition of the show. Matt Wells will join us coming up tomorrow right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.